Subterfuge, One-Handed Games, and the Dandy Cock. This is Staying In.
I was in Ikea today and I played the Ikea game. TM, Kris Darby.
Yeah.
TM. And we stumbled across an Alix.
Ooh.
An Alix? Really?
An Alix. Hang on, let me just double check the description.
Yeah, you know the Ikea game, don't you?
Yeah, I know the IKEA game, but I didn't know there was an Alix.
Do you want to, Kris, do you want to explain the rules of the IKEA game
certainly.
whilst I just get the... Okay.
So Alix, the rule of the IKEA game is, I mean, going to IKEA itself is a joy and a pleasure, as many people know. And I know for a fact that you are in an IKEA catchment zone where you currently are residing in Bristol, which is very fortunate. Yeah. So what you do to play the IKEA game, this goes out to you listener as well, is you simply just go to IKEA and you find the product there that best resembles your name. So, for example, we found, the example, Sam, for you is the Samlar, which is...
I think it was a box with a lid.
It was a box with a lid, yes.
So, I found an Alix today.
What was it?
And the Alix is described thusly. Are you ready?
I am.
A drawer unit on casters.
The drawer unit?
On casters.
What are casters?
Wheels.
Oh, so portable, small, drawers.
Portable storage. Also, your drawers stop to prevent drawers from being pulled out too far.
Oh, that is a handy. In fact, I wish my IKEA drawers did that, because I actually managed to pull the entire TV down, didn't I? To open the top drawer, and it all crashed down.
Yeah.
So an Alix would have been really helpful. Stupid.
An Alix. The other good thing about an Alix is that the Alix can be placed anywhere in a room, anywhere, even in the middle of a room,
you could.
because it's finished on the back. Oh my god, Kris! I just searched your name in the IKEA thing, and there's a thing called the Kris Pig, and it's spelt Kris.
Pig.
That's a new one.
And I think
that's a new one.
And I think by complete coincidence, oh my god, Lisa bought one of these today. And we didn't know it.
I'm omnipresent.
Do you know what it is?
No, I don't. So it must be a new thing, because that's not what I had last time I played the IKEA game. That's the beauty of this game. Every year there's always something new.
A Kris Pig is a cake carrier.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's awesome.
How apt is it? That's amazing.
The Kris Pig has a dual function. On one side, you're smooth for larger baked goods like cakes. And on the other side, you've got ridges for smaller baked goods like muffins.
Is there a Dan? Yeah,
yes,
no, there was
the dancer.
There's a danker.
And was there a Sam?
Or there's a danker. Or a danholt.
How was Alix spelt? Was it EX?
Yeah, sorry, it was EX.
Oh, of all the things, they're always spelt slightly weird. I can't believe they haven't got an I one.
Yeah, I'm not
or a Y or something.
The other interesting thing about IKEA was that, because we've been twice in quite quick succession, because we bought like a TV unit because we've finally finished off our little extension room,
the game room
in our house. The game room, yeah,
the boys' room.
Yeah. Where it's technically called the Pineapple Palace because we've got pineapple wallpaper in there, and
great.
pineapple cushions.
That's awesome.
So we were finishing that off, and we bought one of those TV units where it's like mix and match doors that you can get for it, and lots of little cool, quirky stuff. And so when we first bought it, the doors that we wanted were out of stock. So we went there again, and because it's been quite quick succession, I was able to sort of observe how we kind of interacted with IKEA. And one interesting thing I noticed was at exactly the same point, upon entering the jars and glasses section, Lisa, my girlfriend, exactly the same time turned round and said something like, "Oh, I hate kids." Oh, these kids are annoying, aren't they?
I think I did the same thing.
It's at that point now that my mind turns to Dan. Because Dan is expecting.
Well, Dan is, is he?
Well, he is. Surely he is.
He's not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, he's not expecting in the biblical sense.
As a couple,
and
my wife are indeed expecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm sure Dan's expecting something to happen. Like, just like things have been awfully strange over the last 9 months. I just can't put my finger on it.
I didn't want to say anything.
So yeah, I've been thinking about you, Dan, and how you're going to cope at IKEA. Have you started to see the world in a different light now? Like, do you like? Obviously, you've not got the little one at the moment. Like, it's not in the world with us at the moment. But do you? It's not an Amazon package.
Well,
it's like, tracking the order though.
Yeah, exactly.
Still needs to go.
Exactly. But like, do you see the world around you slightly differently? Like, oh, there's no, I don't know, parking nearby the supermarket. There's no kid. Is there a kids parking zone?
No.
Kids don't drive.
You do. You get mother and you get parent and child. And I'm sure like Dan, I'd expect like Dan's probably walking around his house looking at the sharp edges on his coffee table and going, "Oh,
got to sand that."
Oh,
well, the coffee table's going. The coffee table's going.
The coffee table's going.
Oh, really?
Coffee table's going. I will be coffee table less.
Oh, no.
How are you going to hold your coffees?
I don't know. I'm gonna just have to give it up. To answer your question in a roundabout way, Pete, I'm seeing things in an ever so slightly different way because I'm noticing things that I probably wouldn't have noticed before. So I'm noticing pretty much there's a lot of people around who seem to be having pushchairs and prams and having babies and stuff around. So I'm noticing what prams people have and stuff like that because obviously that's something we've done so far is look and see what kind of pram we're going to get. It's quite a big expenditure. So
are there different kinds of prams?
There's lots of different types of prams, lots of different brands and makes and looks and all sorts of things.
But they're all the same, right? Like ultimately,
they're all the same in the sense of a child sits in them.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like saying all cars are the same.
Yeah, but I mean, like cars are different because like some of them have got suspension, some of them have got.
Well, yeah, they're slightly different. They all
you're
just
literally
kind of
you're literally saying the exact same thing could be attributed to a pram. Prams have suspension.
Cars have. What about like? Do any of them?
It doesn't have gears.
Do any of them drive themselves?
None of them drive. See, if this is anyone else, I'd be like, you're just making a joke. But with Pete, I never quite know.
No, he has no idea.
This is the guy who once said to me, like years ago, when you have a child, if I'm talking to the child, by what name do I refer to you? as in, how would you? If he's talking to my child, how would he refer to me? Kind of in the third person. Yeah, I've got this image of Pete talking to a 2-year-old saying, "Can you go please get Dan for me?"
I also love within
I'm
that.
Scared.
I also love within that Dan's not going to let you anywhere near his child until it's 2 years old.
Yeah. He needs to prepare himself.
No, but I was thinking like you can get like electric push bikes now. You can get.
Yeah, but you're still attached to the push bike though. You don't just push it away from you and send it home.
Yeah, but you can get. Yeah, but you can like they're motorised. Can you get like motorised?
Hang on.
Do you mean
how
like power
independent
assisted?
do you think infants are?
I think he means power assisted, so therefore you have to do less work.
Yeah,
like a power assisted wheelchair.
Yeah, but a baby isn't able to control a wheelchair.
No, that's why.
But
no.
some elderly people aren't able to control a wheelchair, but some people, someone still has to push them. But you get like electric assisted ones, so that when you're going up a hill, like the electric motor kicks in, it's just like pushing them on flat. Is that what you mean?
Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
As far as I'm aware,
it doesn't matter that like the kid can't control the wheelchair. Like if it's self-driving, it will be fine.
It's all about
not self-drive. What? My God, we're not.
I think Pete has this image of the pushchair going down the road, me behind it with some kind of controller.
Yeah,
just like a PS4 controller pushing up on the thumbsticks.
Dan, you joke, but I have seen that.
Yeah.
I went running once, and on my road, and there's like part of where I live, which is there's quite an affluent area, and I was running down it because it's nice to dream, and and there was a child in what can only be described as an identical replica in everything except size of this Bugatti Veyron car. And they were sitting in it, and behind was their parents just controlling it down the street,
That's
just like with a little
amazing.
remote control, just driving their kid around
That's
with this
brilliant.
little Bugatti.
Yeah.
Okay, Pete, that's not a pram.
You get.
Just so you know,
Okay.
that's a toy.
So you're not getting one. So what are the differences in prams then?
Well, in this, as I say, in the same way with cars,
Expense.
there's different styles, different colours, different designs,
Different treads.
features, different brands, lots
will
of
say,
different
Dan,
things.
When I was very, very small, obviously small enough to go into a pram, they had a really kind of shitty one given to them second hand, and Mum was always like, "We're going to get another one because this one just looks awful." They bought a very expensive one that I'm sure you're buying, and I would not get in it. I just wanted the shitty old one. So it's not always about the most expensive one. I know it has to be safe, but don't worry too much about the expense, because it's like a cat that you buy a cat toy for, and then they want the box that it came in.
Yeah.
Just get a box.
Just get a box with some little wheels.
drag
on
it
it.
up.
Okay.
Drag
So
it around on a
your
skateboard.
advice to me. Let me see. Your official advice to me, okay, is don't get a pram.
Minus the box.
Just get a cardboard box
Dan,
and
Dan,
put the baby in that.
I reckon you
And
could.
my advice
Dan, I reckon you could
is
rock
don't
up a
worry
Poos.
about the expense.
Oh, is that the swaddling?
I like that. I said if I
the-
ever had a kid, I'd put them in like a papoose. I like that.
When we were walking the other day, there was a woman doing the same walk that we were doing with a child in a papoose. Is that? Am I thinking of the same thing you are? Like swaddled up against a
Yeah,
chest?
What the
That's it,
hell
yeah.
is
All the
a
back. Yes.
Papoose. A little swaddle thing. It's
Oh,
like
I see.
it's like yeah, you get like you wrap them around you
Like a
and
sling.
you hold them and basically the point is
It's
that,
like
yeah, it's
skin to skin contact, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's like skin to skin contact, so it's meant to like improve the bond between child and parent.
But you've really got to get good quality nappies.
Well, it might warm you up on that long walk.
That's true.
God,
Every cloud.
why do you want one, Dan? It just sounds horrible.
Yeah, don't get a papoose.
Please think we don't get a baby. Sounds horrible.
I think Pete's more worried about what you're going to do with your coffee than anything he wants to know about his child.
Yeah.
When he comes round in 2 years, when your child is just
When you're
coming up
allowed.
to being 2,
Yeah.
he's more worried about where am I going to put my drink?
Yeah, exactly,
Like,
exactly. No, the situation.
what am I going to call you? What am I going to call you? And where am I going to put my
The
drink?
He'll have it
situation-
written-
That's
he'll have
all
it written
Pete's
on his
worried
hand,
about.
the answer, just in case he forgets.
The situation.
Just
Go
the
and
word
tell Coffee
dad.
to get. I mean, Dan.
The situation, yeah, exactly. The situation will be as follows: I'll be sat there holding a hot cup of coffee, thinking,
And a picture
where
of
shall
me.
I put this? And I will turn to you and I will say, Dan. Oh, I mean, should I?
I mean, Father, Papa.
But that's the thing. Would I call you like? Would I refer to you to when the child is around? Was I say? Where's your what's your daddy up to?
Yeah.
Would I
If you're
say, oh,
talking
where's
to the
daddy?
Kid, you say, "Where's Daddy?" If you're talking to Dan, you just say Dan.
Don't,
Yeah, but what if the
Pete,
kid's
Pete,
in
Pete,
earshot?
please
just
don't
say-
start calling me daddy to my face.
Yeah, but
That is going to
Whenever
creep me
you're in
out.
conversation, how often do you say somebody's name?
you say their name fairly often.
No, you don't. No, not when you're in the room.
No,
you don't
but-
say someone.
but here's
You
the
don't
thing,
go,
right?
Dan. I would like to.
What
do
is the
Dan.
yeah? But what is the logic behind saying to a child like, "Oh, where's Daddy gone?" Right? It's because you don't want to use Daddy's first name.
Well, they don't know
Right.
Daddy's first name.
No, absolutely. So you can say, "Oh, where's Daddy
doing
gone?"
it now.
Out the room, and then Daddy walks in through the doors, and you start referring to them as Dan.
No, 'cause you
that
wouldn't
child
go-
is going to
no,
be so
Dan.
confused
You'd go-
about who's
No,
Dan.
you wouldn't. You
Dan.
go, there he is.
Can you promise me something, Dan? If it's a boy, can you call it Dan?
Just a mess with
Pete will
Pete.
just melt.
Just to really.
Uh,
Have you thought of names?
Individually, we have thought of names. We have not yet discussed them.
You're not agreeing on one
Dan.
yet.
Well, we don't
Oh my
know what
God.
we're having
Can
yet
you-
in terms of a boy
Okay,
or a girl.
good tactic,
so.
Dan. Pick a piece of furniture you like. Look what.
Which one's the best bit of furniture? But then it
Yeah,
will be
Dan,
out
right.
of stock.
Let's do the test now. I'm going to Ikea.com, and if you're at liberty to share,
Well, considering I have yet to discuss this with my wife, I'm not sure
Yeah,
I should
this-
discuss it with
yeah.
Okay,
the
Sam,
millions
Sam,
and millions of listeners we obviously have.
Sam, I've got a
Yeah,
perfect
yeah.
suggestion. Sam, go onto IKEA
Okay.
and search for a coffee table. So then it's kind of like an exchange.
yeah.
oh my God, yes. So
Exactly,
right,
yeah.
we'll find the name of your child
Yeah.
So you
because
replace
obviously
it
it's
with
one in, one
coffee.
out.
Or middle name,
Yeah.
potentially.
So-
Let's not,
Cool.
middle name.
Okay,
I'm
hang
happy
on.
to
Right,
accept that.
But one with, like,
coffee-
soft
Yes,
edges
my
and
child will
stuff.
have a Swedish middle name.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, this will be
Well,
awesome.
I've got a Swedish first name.
Coffee tables.
Your first name's Swedish. I know it's
oh my
obviously
God,
spelled weird, but I didn't realise it was
There we go.
of Swedish descent.
God.
Do you want? There's too many. We've got to refine this.
Okay.
Do you have a price point?
What, for my child's name?
the
Yeah.
coffee
So if
table.
you had to buy
Yeah.
a name for your child,
Yeah, you're replacing the coffee.
How
What's
much
the value,
would you be willing
what's the
to
value of your
spend?
coffee table?
it's from £5 up to £200.
Yeah,
I
like,
need a
what's-
bracket.
All right,
That's a coffee
give me 100 to 150.
Yeah, that's about it.
Right. Okay. Here we go. Just
About right for
searching.
your
Just
old
searching.
coffee
Here we
table,
go. Here we go. Here we go. Right. You, Freddie. Oh no, that's more of a workstation. Sorry.
No,
No, hang on. No.
Yeah, I'm not looking for a workstation name.
Right. Okay. So here we go. This one, the good things about this one is it's practical with space underneath the tabletop.
Nice.
Who doesn't want a child like that?
What with
It has
space
also has a
underneath?
separate shelf for magazines.
Oh.
And
That's perfect.
it's a Leotorp.
Leo.
Leo, that's
Tor.
good.
Leo.
Leo. What a
Leo
great name.
There we go.
Leo
All right,
Frost.
Settled. Done.
Okay, there we go, done. so what made you?
I don't know what you've been
the
worried
name,
about, Dan.
Leo. Well, there's a coffee table in IKEA. Can you imagine, like, talking to your child when they're at the age of like 18, and you're like, you know what, you know why we named you the way we named you, and just pointing at the coffee table in the room. We named you after that.
With immaculately smooth corners. Do you know
And
my
drawstrings.
sister's named after a hamster.
What?
That can't be true.
No,
That
no.
can't
My
be
parents,
true.
my sister's called Holly, and my parents, like, before we were born, they had a hamster called Holly, and like it's almost like it was. They've never
Does
said
that
that it
mean
was
she
named
never,
after the
like,
hamster,
lived
but it's,
up
Are you
to the
sure they
hamster?
didn't just like the name Holly?
Yeah.
it's kind of the same though, isn't it?
Or is
No,
she the
no.
reincarnate of the
Naming
hamster?
something after a hamster is not the same as liking a name.
Well, we're still not
Okay.
sure. They've never confirmed or denied that fact. My sister's always believed
But
that she's
here's the
named
th-
after a hamster.
Was she always like compared to Holly? Like Holly used to listen to what I said, like forever, just like compared to this fucking hamster.
Stuffs a mouthful of cake. Oh, Holly used to do that as well.
Oh, you're so
Do
silly.
they go to her bedroom and there are little piles of food in the corners and stuff like that
Well,
that she
I mean-
just stored?
There was like a giant water bottle outside the house that just poked in through a window.
You sit there like. "Nim, nim, 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 nim."
A quick fact about dads
Yeah.
from 48 interesting facts about dads.
Okay.
Some of these are pretty morose, but I can tell you,
Okay,
Dad.
okay, don't give
Dan.
me Emerald.
Okay. Oh, you won't want the one about that then, or that. Okay, so over 87 million cards are sent each year on Father's Day, making it the fourth most popular day for sending cards.
You'll
You'll probably get one from Pete next year.
God.
Just
Dan,
by
Dad,
mistake.
I mean Dad, whoever you are.
Yeah, just like Dan, scratch that out. Dad, scratch that out. Frosty, scratch that
So
out.
if son is or daughter is reading this, Dad.
And it just ends up with like, "Hi, you."
Hey, you.
Oh, that's like the time I got a birthday card from my dad, and obviously what had happened is my mum had obviously put the card in front of him at some point, and my dad like blindly signed it, not realising it was my birthday card. So when I opened it up, it read, "To Sam, happy birthday, love Mum and Mick (brackets Dad)."
Well, I spent 2 days with Sam essentially. Well, it was actually it was an evening. We played like a whole afternoon of games on Saturday. You just basically had like a whole load of games brought to you that you've purchased or were given, and yeah, we just sat around and played those. Really, it was great. So, what did we play?
We played Patchwork.
Oh yeah, it's a nice light 2-player game. It's actually got
Oh,
a
was
lot of
that
depth to it.
Was that game with the little button?
We played K2. which I introduced Lisa to this afternoon, and she really, really enjoyed it. So that's fantastic. What else do we play? We prototyped a secret game that we're not allowed to talk about. But that was interesting. Like, prototyping is a really interesting thing to do with a board game, because obviously when you get the game through and you're testing it, and I think we've all done a little bit of this, the people who are the company who are prototyping it are looking for one thing, but you can't stop yourself from suggesting other things that you think would make the game better or work better. And it's a bit difficult when they're just like, yeah, but we really just want you to test the balance between these two elements of the game, or we want you to test how it works with 3 or 4 players. Because you're not sure about how far along the process of the game is in sort of production design. So we did some prototyping, and that was interesting, because you do generally play a game slightly differently with a bit more of a critical eye.
Oh yeah.
And then we played Oh My Goods.
Oh yeah.
Oh My Goods, which is one of those games that you see everywhere in board game shops and Forbidden Planets, that's reasonably priced at about £8, tenner max, and you wonder whether it's any worthwhile picking up and playing, and I think we can both say that it is, Kris.
Yeah.
It's actually a really... If you're looking for a good 2-player up to 4-player light resource management game, and you like games such as Catan, then I heartily recommend it. It's better than the Catan 2-player game, that's for sure.
Cool.
But the rules book is one of the worst rules books I've ever encountered.
Oh my word, it's awful. We had to actually watch the
original...
YouTube. We watched Rado's walkthrough of it just to understand what was going on.
It was the rule book is practically terrible. and then we finished off the evening with another a couple of months of Pandemic Legacy, which we've got 2 months left now.
Yeah,
Chris?
2 months. We're on November next time we play.
Are things heating up?
It's getting to the point now where Pandemic Legacy is getting to the point where we're getting so close to the end of the game where it's really starting to stress me out. I don't know whether that's a positive experience of it, because I don't want to. Yeah, well, and it's kind of like we got really close to losing our first month at the weekend, and we didn't really complete one of the objectives that we were going out to do, but still won the month, and I kind of haven't stopped thinking about it for the entire weekend.
Right.
So. I did it since I walked away, but yeah. But I think the thing that annoyed you, Sam, was actually is you told me the day after you found while you're in your kitchen tidying up later that one of the cars that would have been a great boon for us, like an upgrade, was on the floor. It had fallen onto the floor. And we didn't see it.
Yeah, basically. So, but the great thing about Pandemic Legacy is it is a perfectly balanced game. We have got another opportunity to go for that objective and give ourselves the upgrades that we need to actually do it. So, kind of, it'll be all right. And one of the things I've heard from other people who've become dads is they get very interested in mobile games, because most mobile games are designed to play with one hand.
Yeah.
So while you're with baby, you can, while you're, up in the middle of the night, consoling and doing whatever, I don't know, you do, they're
Sleeping
there,
internally.
sleep now.
Please sleep.
Like,
Please.
Like, I've heard that a lot of people do mobile games. It's just easy, while they're up and they can play.
So Pete's been training for fatherhood for years, basically.
Pete will be
and other one-handed activities.
Darts.
Oh god.
Yeah, like darts.
Yep, darts.
You just get the baby to sleep. There we go. 180!
Could you imagine? Can you imagine Can you imagine, like, the kind of father that would be like, here's the crib, here's where the baby's in, and here's the
He's the dartboard.
Here's the dartboard
above the babies.
Just like holding in one hand, like.
Just Dan's wife wakes up in the middle of the night to this.
And then
Fucking hell, Dan's up with the baby again. Just like,
Just a chalkboard in the corner.
Oh my god!
Over the next few months, I think we should be on the lookout for some good games that we can.
I've got some
like
absolute
one-handed games.
One-handed games. I've got some absolute gems lined up in my pocket, but the one that we've been talking about, that we've been playing recently, of course, has been Subterfuge.
Or as I like to call it, Subterfuge.
Subterfuge.
Every time Pete asked me what I was doing, I just turned to him and went, Subterfuge.
And
It's been fun.
it's been super fun. So we've played it sort of technically as a group of 5. We'll talk about that in a minute. Subterfuge is, of course, a strategy game for mobile, so iOS, Android, and the idea is it's an area control bluffing game. So you have bases, all of which are sort of generating electricity for you, and you also have places that create submarines, and
Factories, right?
these factories, and you use submarines to take over bases, whether that's these electric generating ones or indeed the factories that produce more submarines. You also produce specialists, so you have a queen, a princess, an assassin, a bunch of other different roles, and these each have different variations on how
They affect the game.
yeah, how they affect the game. So things like, one of them is essentially a turret that will attack enemy submarines when they come by. A princess acts as a queen. So a queen, if you lose your queen, you're out of the game. Princess will ascend to become a queen, so it's kind of like an extra life. A saboteur will be able to change. I think it's the saboteur is able to change the direction of the submarines that are attacking you, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so the idea is you send as more submarines to enemy bases than the enemy base has shields and submarines there, and then you start taking over these lands. Now the game itself is really straightforward. It's just a tap and a hold on the screen. You direct the submarines to where you want them to go.
Although that wasn't particularly clear
Although
at the
that wasn't
beginning.
super clear. But it is, once you get through the tutorials and stuff that are included, you kind of realise that it is actually quite a straightforward game. You can do your commands, you can cancel orders, you can set mines to drill Neptunium, which is like the ultimate goal. So you want to basically get as much Neptunium as you can, and then you're crowned the victor. You realise that actually the biggest strategy of all is not in the game itself, it's outside of the game. So there's a bluffing meta game in which it provides you the ability to chat within the game, but I think a lot of us use WhatsApp and emails and stuff like that. And you basically start forging alliances outside of the game itself so that you can team up on your opponents and take them out to your advantage. So the idea is you want to work together as long as it benefits you, and then not work together and become enemies when it's advantageous.
That's how you played it.
Well, perhaps, yeah. So and it's cross-platform play. That's why we all got to play, because we've all got iOS and Android devices online, and it's slow as well. It's a really slow game.
How long did it take us?
7 or 8 days, I want to say.
Yeah. And I think you're using the wrong word when you say bluffing. This isn't a game about bluffing. It's a game about diplomacy, more importantly.
I suppose so, yeah.
Because it's not about.
Well, I guess that reveals what my diplomatic strategy was.
You can bluff if
Yes.
you want, but mostly you either choose to work together or you don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people were trying to play each other against each other.
So
I noticed.
Yeah. So the setup was there was 5 of us. And everyone starts with the same assets, and everybody can see certain parts of the map but can't see others, depending on where your submarines and where your bases actually are. So I immediately started this game thinking, because I played it once before, thinking, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sidle up with everybody and make sure everybody is at least not going to attack me, so that I can sit here and build up a whole bunch of submarines and stability, and then just and then figure out how to play each other off of one another.
Well, should we go around and kind of see, at least initially, what everyone's opening strategy was?
Yeah, that's a good idea. But before you do, can I just say that the average spending on Mother's Day gifts in the US is about $168 compared to only $119 on Father's Day.
Oh, that...
Well, this is a waste of time then, isn't it?
Anyway, back to Subterfuge.
That was Pete's strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will make an admission. I made an error in my game. I had thought I'd read someplace that it was a timed game, so the game would last for 7 days, and either if whoever was leading after that 7 days would win. So I had that in my head anyway. Turned out not to be true.
I thought that was the case. I agree with you. Even on their website, they say it's a week-long game.
Yeah. So I was under the impression that if I got to 7 days, if I was in the lead, I won.
Yeah.
And so my strategy to begin the game, genuinely, I just thought, you know what? I'm terrible at kind of bluffing games or kind of games where you have to kind of interact with each other and kind of exchange stuff and all that stuff. I'm terrible at all those games. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to be nice. I'm not going to attack anyone. All I'm going to do is be nice. Right from the off, I got a little message from Pete saying, I want to be in your team. Obviously, he was saying that to everyone. And obviously, right from the beginning, I didn't trust him. And I said as much to him. And I said, fine, I'll be friends with you. Look, I'm not going to attack anyone. And that was my strategy. What about you guys?
Can I just say off the back of that, I'll say my strategy, mainly because even though you say that was your strategy, Dan, one of your first moves was obviously going to overtake one of my bases and kidnap my queen.
But that was done. That was done before I'd set off, because the way the game works is you can set off submarines to go, and it takes them probably about 10, 12, 14, much longer hours to get there. And I believe on that case, when I'd set off my submarine, there was no one at that base. As it played out, you'd taken over that base by the time mine was approaching. So it would appear that I couldn't recall the submarine back.
Yeah,
I admit that happened, but it was not on purpose.
Oh, I see. Well, my strategy from the outset was very much because when your bases are first established, when you have the ones that are assigned to you, I think everyone is sits in sort of a realm of isolation of unclaimed bases that you can happily go about and get. So my diplomatic method of the early game was very much to try and define my borders and try and make myself not necessarily a target, but just make everyone aware that I was expanding, but that I was very much open to communication, and that I wasn't, in the early game at least, in a position where I wanted to attack. So my strategy was that I sent off subs to go and capture unclaimed bases, and I made sure that I let everyone next to those bases who could have also claimed them know that what I was doing, and know that those were my borders of my sort of area that I was controlling, because it was of my mind that was kind of the most diplomatic way of doing it, kind of almost in one word saying, look, I'm not attacking, I'm not being aggressive, but on another way just saying, like, you know, but if you do step up to me, I'm kind of ready to go.
Yeah.
So you set up your territory quite early.
Yeah, that was my strategy, kind of just like drawing a line in the sand very early on, and kind of saying, right, this is my borders, this is my strategy. I will defend these places. I'm not going to give these up, but I'm happy for everyone else to get whatever they want. You know. See,
that makes sense. I didn't actually know how to do that for 2 days. I was behind, I think. Nobody taught me how to move the subs.
Did you not do the tutorials?
No.
Well, no, but Pete, this is, before we get on to Kris, this is one thing that I actually, and one thing I would love is to speak to the designers about this, is that this is the best mobile game that I've ever played.
Really?
And yeah, hands down. And for someone who doesn't like mobile games, I think that's quite a big statement.
Yeah.
Its one massive failing is the tutorial is very, very weak.
Yeah.
And the tutorial doesn't... It's like a rule book for a board game that's been half written. It doesn't tell you anything within context. It tells you how to do mechanics, but doesn't tell you why those mechanics are useful, how those mechanics exist in the world, what you can actually do. It doesn't explain any of the specialists, doesn't explain any of the contextual environmental things that you can do. It just kind of gives you the briefest of briefest overviews. But what I would love to ask the developers is if that was intentional, because in the early game I was using what I knew about how to play the game as a diplomatic tool.
Yeah.
So I was helping Dan and trying to help Kris as much as I could get through the early stages of the game as an early way of kind of saying, look, I'm going to help you, I'm helping you get up, I'm teaching you what to do, thinking of it as in the later game that maybe I could use that early diplomacy to give me a bit of a step up later on. So I don't know if the bad tutorial is intentional or not.
I will say this. Though it's a game where you don't have to be as involved for quite long periods of time, it does feel like quite an involving game.
Oh god, yeah.
Like, I was thinking about it that entire week.
Well, there were some decisions that if I hadn't made like split second then, even if it was going to take 20 hours to happen, if I hadn't done it then, I would have lost.
Yeah.
This game actually did infect my dreams. I had dreams about this game.
That's cool.
Like proper games proper dreams that were kind of making it difficult to sleep. It was waking me up, kind of thing. It was bizarre. There was only one or two others. At which point I kind of thought I need to stop playing this because it's getting into my brain too much. I don't know if I'll ever play it again because I got a little bit obsessed.
Is it because you were winning? Do you think so? You were dreaming about losing your position?
I don't know. So the way the game kind of played out, from my point of view anyway, is, as I say, I didn't actively want to fight anyone.
You're a lover down, not a fighter.
I think at one point, Alix, you took one of my my bases that was on the edge, and I kind of said to you, "All right, I'll let you have that one. Let's agree a truce." As a result of that, let's agree a truce. I don't want to fight you. You don't want to fight me. Let's just agree to not do anything. You said fine. That's all fine. We talked about kind of exchanging some bases or something. There was a key base that I needed, which Sam wanted, and there was a long time of back and forth of us retaking. I tried to kind of come to some kind of compromise with Sam, but it just, at one point I think I even suggested to you us sharing the base. So I take it for 12 hours, you take it for 12 hours, and just kind of sharing it, which you weren't happy with, which is your prerogative. All the while, I'd ask kind of the only person who I'd actually spoken with and kind of agreed some kind of truce with, which is Pete, saying to him, Pete, do you want to? I need this base. Do you want to? If I give you this base, will you give me this one? And he said no. I was like, okay, so that's what our relationship is. Our relationship isn't going to be about sharing stuff. So, okay, so maybe this truce is based on kind of helping each other, maybe in battle. And at one point, Sam attacked me, so I was like, Pete, I really need your help here. And you went, oh, I don't know. He's quite close to my bases as well. I can't help you. I'm like, seriously, what is the point of you if you're not actually going to do anything in this game to help me?
Defensive
yeah, and there's one point, Dan, where you were winning and I was asking for Pete's help, and he's like, no, I've got other plans, mate. Pete was the worst. Like, Kris pretty much didn't play this game for the whole time, but Pete was the most inactive, indecisive player of Subterfuge.
Right, okay. Okay, so Alix will pay testament to this because I let her know what my strategy was. And actually, I had a highly cunning plan.
You had a cunning plan, but it didn't
to do
really
nothing. But
go
it didn't work.
It went incredibly well.
Well,
so I decided that I knew that Sam and Dan would end up competing because I know what they're like. They're like brothers, right? So they'll like try and outdo each other all the time. So I thought, right, Sam and Dan will try and beat one another. And lo and behold, it happened, and you started fighting, and Dan comes
only
to me
on
going,
one solitary base.
I need some help.
But Dan, this was days though.
Yeah.
This was days. And I got a bee in my bonnet about that one base. I was
So
just
did
like,
I.
fuck it.
Right.
So I was just like ignoring everything else that was happening on the map,
Right.
and
So,
spending loads of subs just throwing them at that base.
So you can see all of this slotting into place. So I knew that was going to happen, and I also knew that I'd made decent pacts with Sam and Dan, but
Hang on.
Sorry,
Pete, you have to admit, right from the
Yeah.
start and throughout, I kept saying to you, I don't trust you. I
That's
knew from
fine.
the
You
beginning
didn't have
that you
to.
were going to turn on me.
That was absolutely fine.
wise.
So I'd said, yeah, Sam, I'm your best bud in this. This is going to be fine. Dan, I'm your best bud in this. This is going to be fine. We'll have this pact together. And then didn't actually actively show any loyalty whatsoever. So my idea being that both of you would come to me asking for help, and I would say, no, I can't do this. So you would continue to take one another out, and then when one of you was weak, I would then side with the victor.
Like a snake, come
Like-
in and grab it.
It's like having fucking Varys
But it
sitting
didn't
there.
work,
Jesus.
did it?
It did work.
No, it didn't.
I was
But you know-
winning for a really long
No.
period of time.
No,
No,
you
For at
weren't.
least
No, you
half
weren't.
a
You weren't
day.
winning at any
you
point.
I
weren't.
was winning for half a day.
Dan was winning most of that
I was
game.
winning for half a day.
Yeah.
Then
I
you
think
were
the
winning for half
game.
a day, and
I
then
think the game went on for like 9 days. I think for the first 7, I was winning.
Yeah.
At the part, as I said earlier, I did think it was going to go for 7 days, and actually at that point, I actually had to stop playing because I was going away, and I was going away where I didn't have any Wi-Fi or internet connection, so I was out of the game then. Yeah. And just as that was approaching, I started to notice, firstly, Sam making a few inroads, because I think you guys could see the end was nigh. I was getting quite high. If you'd let me go much longer, I would have definitely won. So I could see Sam trying to go in there, and then suddenly Pete's forces tried to send it away, and I was like, I knew it. And obviously, I've got a lot of common materials they all want, and I was like, in this game, there's only been one person who hasn't turned on me or actively tried to attack me and go at me, and that's Alix.
Yeah.
So I went out and said,
Ankle
Alix,
stabby.
I'm out of this game. Okay. Well, Kris, you were just sitting there twiddling your
gone
thumbs.
rogue. I was on that episode of The
like
Simpsons where
Switzerland.
Homer's somehow put in charge of a submarine.
So I said to Alix, I'm out of this game. I know I'm winning at the moment, I'm quite far ahead, but I've got to stop playing now, and these guys are taking me out. So I said, you can take all of my stuff. I will give you all of my subs, I will give you all of my bases. I just don't want... Sam, I didn't want Sam to win, but it did. I wouldn't have bothered me if Sam had won. Okay, Pete, I did not want to win. So I was also fairly confident that I may well have offered this kind of bargain at a point just before Alix was about to turn on me. I was prepared for that as well.
No,
but I just said, Alix, you can take all of my stuff. I prepared it all.
You're forgetting the bit beforehand. So my beginning was I missed a few days of actually moving my subs around. I did the same thing as Dan did to Sam. I sent one off to one of your people and got destroyed by accident because it wasn't Dan hadn't taken the generator at the time. So that looked like an aggressive move. And then I just wanted to see what happened. So that's when I took over one of your towns. And that's when you got in touch saying, I think it was Samet or something, wasn't it? You were like, okay, you can have that. And then later on we did an epic switch, didn't we?
Yeah.
We moved across the map because I left at exactly the same time as he came in. I let my shields go down and he let his shields go down on another city. So I took that over, and that was where Sam was coming in from the side. And what was it? Sam, at some point I took that over just as you would have seen me taking it over, looking like I'd destroyed Dan. So that was the idea, was that it looked like I'd been aggressive to Dan when really he'd given me the city.
Wow.
And then I wasn't actually going to turn on you because I thought you were going to win anyway. And I was like, well, didn't you send me a message like, win on my behalf or something?
Yeah,
like,
win for me.
Win for me. And I was like, I've got to win now. And I did some pretty epic moves towards the end. Like, Sam, you fell for one of my traps right at the end. There were like 3 of your little cities, and I made an attack on one of them, and you brought out like 30 subs from another factory, and I sort of zipped in there with another lot right behind you. I'm so sorry, but I felt like I had to win for Dan.
Yeah.
It was, but that it kind of, and I think the conversation that we've had, like that typifies why this is the best mobile game I've ever played. Because
really
first of all, if I'm thinking about a game when I'm not playing it, I already know that it's really good.
Yeah.
Like I already know that it's a game that I'm enjoying. Like I think about Pandemic Legacy pretty much, you know, every day. At least once a day I'll think about Pandemic Legacy. You know, I think about you know, stuff that's occurred in, you know, other great games that we've played. And Subterfuge has stayed with me, and I think the best games are the ones like this, where afterwards we can just like go through this debrief of this was happening and then I was doing this, but then all that stuff was happening behind the scenes. And I think games that can create that are the ones that I enjoy the most. You know, like things that happen in Resistance or games like that where people have got different agendas and different approaches, and then suddenly when the game ends there's just this great cacophony of, well, this is what I was going for, and what were you doing when you were doing that? Like Mysterium, just, you know, when you finish that game and suddenly the ghosts can speak and go, what were you thinking? Like, when I put that card down, this is exactly what I was saying. Yeah, I think Subterfuge, I would never play it again. I'm with Dan. It got under my skin too much. Like, the biggest lie I told you guys was telling you all that I was going to be playing on my iPad, and I never did. I was playing on my phone, and so I was pretty much connected to it 24/7.
I kind of got that because I was on it a lot, and on the leaderboard that it has there, it also says kind of the last time someone was online, and you were on it fairly similar to the amount of time I was on it. So I was like,
you can see the little green light, can't you, if somebody's on?
Yeah.
So you know who's on, and me and Sam would be on quite often at the same time, actually.
It's a fantastic game, and I think that it's got a really good monetization system where, you know, only one of your party needs to pay about £10, is it? And
it's £7. Yeah,
about £7, and you get and that's how you create like private games that you can play with your friends.
And it's like, considering it's like 8-player or something like that, it's so worth it. Like
up to 8 players.
It's so
really?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And like, that game has been going for years now.
Do you know what? My favourite thing is the time thing. That is so cool.
Yeah,
you
the time wheel.
Rewind, and you can even rewind, like, just to see what happened. You can sort of scroll through up to, it's a ridiculous amount of hours. It's like 20 or something hours.
No, it's right. You can rewind right back to the start of the game.
Yeah.
But in the future, how far can you go forward?
For
48 hours, I think.
Is it 48 hours? Yeah.
So you can go quite far.
Yeah. So it's good at like helping you make predictions and so on. Yeah, the game's been going for a number of years now. There's still thousands and thousands of players that play it absolutely regularly. Yeah. There's forums dedicated to special high level techniques and tactics and that kind of thing. It's this strangely niche phenomenon. Like, the people who play it and pick it up get on it and love it and enjoy it and have such an amazing fun time with it. And sometimes they carry it on and sometimes they don't. But it's strange that it kind of came out, peaked a little bit, and then it's kind of just stayed there, stayed this constant.
I'd never heard of it.
Yeah,
actually.
but it's always
beautifully designed.
It's always been like this kind of undercurrent of it being excellent. But yeah, I also agree. I think it is absolutely fantastic.
It walked a very fine line, which is quite difficult for games to do, where we all got a little bit annoyed and it got under our skin enough to be like, oh, I wish they hadn't taken that, but it was still enjoyable. It still wasn't like had a fight over it sort of thing, nor was it so it's so fun, I don't care. It was, I do care about whether I get that generation or not, but not enough to cause some sort of argument in the real world, which I think is a really good
I don't
balance.
know, I was pretty miffed at Pete.
I don't know what you see. I never talked to Pete at all inside the game, and we didn't work together at all. I just left you alone because
Me
I
and
thought
my amazing strategy.
because we could have had because we were in the same house, so we could have had a huge plan. But you were just. I knew you were trying to play everyone off each other, and I couldn't. I couldn't stand by.
So what was the just to wrap this up? So what was the overall standings in the end? I think I came third.
I think I came last, but that was because I was I came last because I was off the grid for like 48 hours, so I got removed from the game.
Right.
Then it would have been Kris.
Nice.
Then it would have been you, Pete. Then Sam, and then Alix with the win.
Well, I think it's you and me, Dan. I think we had a joint win because I won for you, really.
I'll take that.
I nearly didn't. I had to work very hard.
Yeah.
Because Sam was like second and so close.
The world's oldest father is believed to be Ramajit Raghav from India.
Yeah.
He was 96 years old when his 52-year-old wife gave birth to a baby boy in 2010.
Do you know what?
Jeez.
When you said that, I was my brain was immediately running to who's the oldest father, and my brain immediately went Christmas.
Old Father Time.
Yeah, Father Time.
Father Time.
I thought that was going to be a
father.
fact. Like, the oldest father is Father
fact,
Christmas.
The best thing about this fact, Raghav was single until he was in his 80s. So
Craigslist.
He'd been saving it up.
He at least had a coffee table for 80 years. And then, got rid of it. Another fact here: the father with the most children is likely Ismail ibn Sharif, an Alawite sultan who fathered 888
Jesus.
children with hundreds of wives and concubines in the late 17th century.
I think I should have started a bit earlier than now if I wanted to get to those numbers.
Can you imagine wandering around that palace? Just be like,
Yeah, but statistically,
Here we go.
How old was he, Sam? When was this statistically? I'm just thinking, when was?
Oh, it was in the 17th century.
I'm just thinking, statistically, then, like one of us must be related to that progeny.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, how did they not, cross genes over when they were, partnering off themselves? It must have been impossible with 800 people, all from the same father. Jeez. Well, Dan, maybe stop at, one or two.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend 800.
A couple of other facts here for you. Wrestling and roughhousing with a father, not necessarily your own father, but I guess just with a dad.
Any dad.
Helps shape a child's brain to help them manage emotion and develop a balance between thinking and physical action.
Yeah. Now,
so
Dan,
so this is when you start doing DDTs with your child and doing wrestling moves.
I was going to say, Dan, do not put your child through a table. Mind you, I've got one anymore, so it doesn't.
I think even putting someone through a coffee table, that would be really painful.
the most middle class Hardy Boys move ever.
And finally, the word dad was first recorded in 1500, but it's most likely significantly older. Researchers believe it's derived from a child's first sounds and is nearly universal. In other languages, the word is tad, Welsh, died, Irish, Tata, Greek, Tete, Lithuanian, and Tata in Sanskrit.
Oh.
Maybe that's what we'll call you, Dan.
Tata.
Okay. Tata. You got your name now.
Tata Frost.
Tata Frost.
I like Tad.
Tad Frost.
Tad Frost.
That was a character in Neighbours.
That was Toady.
He had a brother called Tad.
Did he?
Did he?
What's brilliant?
Yeah.
What's brilliant is when someone goes, "Oh yeah, have the Frosts have a baby? Is Dan a dad now?" You can go, "Yeah, just a tad."
Oh, that's really good.
That day spent inside was counteracted by a day spent outside as we went for a walk in the Peak District, just out a 9-mile walk, which started at the Plague Village EM.
So we couldn't lose the whole pandemic theme entirely over the weekend. So we went to a plague village.
Yeah.
A plague village?
Yeah.
A plague village.
What's that?
It's a village that had the plague.
But didn't most villages have the plague?
Yeah, but this was kind of a ground zero for it in areas outside London, because the way it started was that a piece of cloth that was ridden with plague fleas happened to arrive at this village, and it just caused an outbreak of it there, really, outside London.
Gosh.
And what's quite extraordinary about this village, if I can't pronounce it correctly, Eyam, E-Y-A-M, is that when we were walking around towards the end of the day, coming back through this gorgeous village, it was pretty much dead.
Yeah.
It was just really empty. It was bizarre.
And plague is still there.
Yeah.
Well, Kris just kept on going. It's like everyone's gone to the rapture in real.
Yeah. That's my favourite game for me. So, I see it everywhere.
Aww.
But yeah, the plague village was interesting. But what we noticed is that on the route from Manchester through Stockport and down through into the Peak District, there appears to be a very tight-knit collection of pubs all of which seem to have very, very suggestive names, based mainly upon double entendres.
Nice.
So we passed the Soldier Dick.
Excellent, yeah.
We passed the Dandy Cock
Well, aren't you lucky?
on the way there. And it was just... And there's another one that I can't remember. But it was just really weird, like... Because even if that pub was named 300 or 400 years ago, they knew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
knew.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
I'd be welcome for something different. I mean, usually it's some sort of royalty's limbs, isn't it? The Queen's head,
Well, the Queen's...
King's arms.
Yeah, but
The
also,
Prince's
like,
ankle.
Yeah.
like, you got to think, like, a lot of these pubs were named in quite puritanical times, or in villages where, like, you know, liberal thought probably wasn't a major thing. You know, they've just been visited by the plague. So I guess if you're going to make fun, like, you take your laughs wherever you possibly can, right? Like, I'm going to hang a big sign outside my public house that reads "The Cock and Bulls," you know, or something like that.
It's funny, actually, like, a lot of these pubs, because I've got a list here of pubs with the most suggestive names. A lot of these pubs, understandably, don't have an actual watercolour picture. It's just the title.
Yeah.
Because basically, language just breaks down entirely. So I've got here a list. The Dandy Cock is on here, Sam.
Excellent.
Oh.
But actually, once you finish, if you're going to do a pub crawl, this is the pub crawl you should do. So you should start off with a pint of the Dandy Cock. Sticking with that theme, you should carry on, go for a swift half at the Cock Inn. But the Cock Inn is quite obscure, because the pub you should really be going to is the Famous Cock. And then from that Famous Cock, you move on, maybe get some pork scratchings at the Cock and Bull.
Oh, there is a cock and bull, there you go.
Perfect.
Across the road is the Round Bush. And then, as we're getting kind of as the kind of sun is beginning to rise, go for a lock-in at the Fanny on the Hill. Then get chucked out of the Foul-Mouthed Count.
No.
And just as you're staggering home, you call in for some sobering time. Maybe get a Bloody Mary, something like that, at the Oily Johnny's. That was Staying In with Peter Willington, Sam Turner, Dad Frost, Alix Brixham and myself, Kris Darby. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit stayingin.podbean.com for more information and links to the comics, movies, games and more covered in this episode. And come find us on Twitter @StayingInPod. Thanks for listening.